North Carolina is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome to all of you for being here. If we take a look at this Congress, you have to kind of sort out what the art of the possible is. Every Congress is a little bit different. We have a divided government here, and while I hope we can look at some big things, I'm really wanting to get down into some singles and doubles. Professor, I heard you talk about an idealized framework from your perspective. That's a big lift and not likely to occur. What I'm also worried about is with the lack of information that we could overreach. And Professor Jing, you mentioned GDPR. I follow that fairly closely. It was a good, broad regulatory construct that has met with some challenges. They've had to go back and refine it. So I think we need to get it right. So I tend to be more on the lean singles and doubles approach to addressing some of the problems and building over time. I thought that Senator Vance's analogy on the internet was a good one. Now, we have a hearing downstairs right now talking about protecting our children on the internet. We've got a lot of work to do in that space, but I think overreaching could have set us back by a decade or generation of innovation. So one of the things that we've looked at that I don't think would be particularly controversial, but what I would put in the single or double category is a proof of reserves requirement. If we saw that in the FTX world, we could have avoided some of that. So number one, what is your thought, if we can be quick, I want to at least get two questions in, but what are your thoughts on things like proof of reserves and other things that Congress can act on? I don't find a lot of comfort in knowing that Mr. Gensler thinks he has full authority to implement a regulatory regimen, because I think he's been going a little bit too fast and a little bit too expansive on rulemaking, which is why I hope that Congress will act so that we get this right. So give me some ideas on singles and doubles.
Yeah, so I appreciate the question, Senator. Frankly, proof of reserves aren't worth the paper that they're written on. And I would just point to the so-called proof of reserves that Binance had from Mazars until Mazars pulled it off of their website and stopped doing any work for crypto.
Is proof of reserves not a worthwhile pursuit? Or
so audits are worthwhile. So I think audits are a worthwhile pursuit. And I think that is a single, certainly, that this Congress should look at. There's no reason that crypto intermediaries, exchanges, should not have full audits. But proof of reserves are not full audits.
We were talking about an independent third party reporting to the Treasury. So I think that may address the point you were making about worth the paper that they're written on.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I would say one other sort of single is requiring these crypto platforms to segregate firm assets from customer assets.
Yep. Professor Jing?
Proof of reserves can be defined a number of ways. At its simplest, it's like balancing your checkbook. Mm-hmm. And you could do that either through GAAP accounting disclosures or on-chain confirmations or supervisory exams. And so whatever method is chosen, it is just about verifying what is on-chain as well as what is off-chain.
Yeah, and by the way, maybe we need to get your opinion, but on the proof of reserves bill that we're working on in our office, we are trying to deal with commingling of customer funds. I think the things that you're getting at, so really making it have teeth, but I'll go to you, Ms. Yadav.
Thank you so much, Senator. Proof of reserves is something that is a ones and twos here. To make sure that the methodology is clear, to make sure that the methodology is robust. What that means is that the liabilities are being fully disclosed. One of the problems right now is that it's not clear whether the liabilities that are being disclosed are in fact comprehensive. And so the ability to have third-party audits, as you suggest, that are robust and that are done systematically. In addition, also, we need to make sure that we have the internal controls that go into and underlie the proof of reserve. So, for example, it's not enough simply just to disclose. It's important that the actual exchange has internal controls that can make sure that these assets are properly segregated, that the valuation of these assets is done, is marked to market on a very regular basis, and that the proof of reserve disclosures are done regularly. Giving us a snapshot once every 3 months is not going to be enough. These are things that are changing every day. Mm-hmm. In addition, also, it's not just proof of reserves, it's proof of solvency. Now, one of the things that is emerging in these different exchanges is that many of the balance sheets are made up of these, coins that essentially they are minting themselves, and the valuation there is not clear. In the case of FTX, for example, the FTT token has fallen precipitously in value. The exchange's own tokens, in the case of Binance and others, are constantly volatile. And so making sure that we have not just the disclosure of the reserves, but also making sure that the assets that are being held are liquid and tradable. One of the issues with these assets that are happening here is that the market for trading them is extremely thin, and so the ability for folks to cash out is limited by the fact that the actual exit is much less liquid than a proof of reserve by itself might suggest. So that's another thing that would be important to take into consideration.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Senator Warren of Massachusetts.